What's up, guys? It is Will here, back again for another episode of Lights, Camera, Keco, Natalie G, Cosmic Concepts Collects. Should have known that was going to happen. But you guys, thank you so much for joining us on this fine Friday, December 22nd, the last show before the holidays, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. It's pretty exciting. We're going to talk about some pretty exciting stuff. And we got to talk about really all the important topics that I know Keco Collects is going to be thrilled to talk about again every week, as we always talk about. So we're going to do all of that. But before we get into our topics and address the chat as much as we can, let's address this amazing Avengers level panel. Dude, Josh, Mr. Comic Concepts, the dude who I didn't even know was off work today, who just decided to join the show about 30 minutes ago. How you doing, man?
Hi.
Yeah, your display is looking real nice back there.
Thank you. It's a little empty because I got overwhelmed. I have too many pieces, and rather than put some on display, I decided I can't figure it out, and I give up.
That's how collecting is. Keco fixed his camera, by the way. I can tell.
It's too upsetting to pick and choose.
Nice. Well, it looks great back there, man. I can see that. Wow. Was it a wow? What was the wow like motherboard thing that you have back there?
Oh, right here. Yeah. It's Kill Jaden server.
Dude.
The original server blade that I grew up on with all my friends and family.
Nice, dude. And of course, you have the life-size Luffy back there, the most important.
Oh yeah, bro. What about? Can't even see it. How about the Tyrael back there? It's tall, as tall as me, and then there's a Malthael.
Wait till you get that Sylvanas bust in there.
Oh, it's gonna be daddy. It's gonna be daddy. Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Of course, dude. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate having you as always. We're gonna get some good insights from you on these topics tonight. It's gonna be some good discussions about J&D, Hot Toys, InArt, all that good stuff. And we're gonna hear a lot of, I think, spicy but fun opinions from everyone. That said, Natalie G, your lighting looks different this time. I really, really like it. And I think we have Ty to thank for that. Do we not?
A little bit. She may or may not have bought me something, aka lights.
Gotcha. Well, Ty is the best. Shout out to Ty, by the way. She's the best.
Yeah. So hopefully, Ty, if you're watching, Christmas gifts. The rest of these things need lights. I've been asking everybody who knows how to do lighting for these things, and nobody responds. I'll put it in Reddit or and nobody answers.
Keco and Josh are probably the best two to ask, to be honest.
Well, Keco doesn't actually have. Yeah, Keco doesn't actually have like a way to get in touch with him. He's like the most elusive content creator ever. Outside of like posting outside of posting a question directly to like a video that he's created. Because he doesn't use all the socials, which is respectful.
Natalie, I'm pretty sure I have your phone number.
Well,
you can get him on Threads.
It's probably a one-way street.
Well, you should ask them though, Natalie, for real, because they're the best people to help with lighting for sure.
My God, I need help so bad.
Keco's really good at that. Yeah. So, but yeah, Natalie, it's great to have you back. Natalie, I have to ask you too, by the way, for the record, we talked about this over text message. Is it factually accurate that every time a collector purchases a J&D, there's a bra strap that goes off a woman's shoulder somewhere, right? That's got to be true.
I think.
No, because we said it's big baller status when you pre-ordered the J&D, and you said it was going to be a panty dropper, and I said not quite a panty dropper, but it's like a slight bra strap removal or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. So.
Yeah, we're gonna take that as a no. It's not a real thing. Yeah, but anyway, thanks so much, Natalie, for joining. It's gonna be a fun one. Keco, I think you're in Natalie's house. Are you not?
I am because she said it's hard to get a hold of me. Well, turn around, bitch. Here I am.
Oh, there he is. Hey. Remember when Josh was in your little door? He was in your house.
Just like,
dude, that's pretty impressive.
Keco, move left.
Oh, I was gonna say, but I do know that is kind of odd. But so I'll just stick with this one.
Yeah.
So, are you at IKEA right now? Is that where you're at?
This is my home office.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He's in an IKEA display.
Are you looking at the new the Beliden or whatever, the new DTOF?
The Beliden? No, it can kiss my ass. I can tell you that.
You don't like the new you don't like the Beliden?
No, like people like let's just get into this. So like people are like mad at my like new display changes and stuff, and so many people are like, looks terrible, sucks, worse, can't believe it, wow, trailer park looking. I'm like,
trailer
wow,
park looking.
That's an actual thing. I got a screenshot.
No, they didn't. That's wild, dude.
Yeah, I sent it to you, Will. They like said I look like I live in a trailer park now, which if you do, great, that's fine. Mobile home is even better on the move. But all that to say is that like everyone is so like ridiculous when it comes to like my display. Like, what does yours look like? And who the hell is calling me? I was like, what does yours look like? And
it's Howard
like,
Chan.
probably because I'm sitting there talking.
It's IKEA talking about while you're bashing their
but all that to say is that I wanted to get out of that type of display and do something different, because I'm looking for growth and looking for more opportunities. But I've never seen more people. There's the encouraging, but then there's the people that are like so concerned about what's going on with me. Like they're like, wow, terrible. Like, all right, cool. Well, you could have volunteered to come over here and help. Or if it's really that bad, I mean, you can implement some donations to help me out one way or the other. But all that to say is that I think the Beladen looks absolutely atrocious because the bars are like so thick and it's not a clean look or aesthetic. And I know people are already got their finger on the keyboard ready for once my collection tour drops to sit there and shit talk it about different things that don't look great or aesthetically pleasing or too thick this, not clean, whatever you want to call it. So I know the hate is coming, but all that to say,
it will.
You know the meme with Bruce Almighty where he's typing away very diligently.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah. Just like Josh did. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to clarify. So it was the comment, Will, was that you had hit 8,000 subscribers. So congratulations to you. And I said, congratulations. I said 8,000 makes one bra strap.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Well, I took it as J&D because I just pre-ordered J&D, so I felt like a baller at the time.
10,000 makes the panty drop.
So I got to hit 10K. Guys, let's get this channel to 10K just so we can
2,000 more.
Speaking of, by the way, Natalie and Josh, I didn't tell you this, and I'll throw this out there before we get into the chat. I don't know if this girl's going to answer me, but Amy's trying to matchmake. Keco's wife is trying to matchmake. I messaged this girl. I went into her DM. She hasn't responded yet, so we'll see. Only time will tell. But she golfs left-handed. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And it was wild to me because Amy's like, hey, check out her TikTok. And I'm like, why is she right-handed magically? And then she switches over to being like left-handed. I'm like, okay, so apparently she found out when she was trying, because it was a whole like transition, like, look how far I've come type of thing. I was like, well, you've come so far, you don't even swing with the same hand anymore. So that's impressive.
You've come so far, you went left-handed.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild because, I mean, that's golf's hard as it is, but if you start out swinging one way and then you literally switch to a different hand, I mean, that's pretty impressive. So I think all the things are in line for you, Will. And if people are wondering like what I'm doing, like why I'm laying like in this random room, let us know. Run a poll, Will, if I need to do the pink background or this, whatever people prefer more. But because here's what it would look like otherwise. So Josh is like, hey, why are you in the womb? I'm like, what? I'm like, well, I guess so. Yeah, because I'm like laying here in the pink room. So for those that don't know, surprise. So those that don't know, if you come here and stay with me, this is the room you stay in. And Will has stayed in this very room before, in this bed. And
twice.
Yeah, twice, yes.
It's a great room.
It is. It's a great room, but because my collection room is in repair, as well as the area where it used to be, there's nothing in there, so I can't just sit in a random hall, I guess. Well, I guess I could, but this is a place I could sit, and so let us know where I need to go. So right now, this is where I'm at.
All right, cool. We can run the poll. I don't think people care about the background of the pink room. I think it'll be fine. But guys, thank you so much for joining. We have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to keep the comments pretty brief. We're just probably going to jump into our first topic. We're going to hit a little bit of news, and we're going to jump into some big picture stuff to make sure we have enough time to get everyone's thoughts on that important content there. But there's actually some things that have been announced this week that I really wanted to touch on at least real quick. One of them being a couple of Ahsoka figures. So we have some Star Wars stuff that was announced, and Ahsoka was an interesting show because a lot of people felt it was, I mean, the general consensus I got is that a lot of people felt it was pretty mid. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a fun show. I thought at the beginning though, Keco, you remember we were texting about it. I was like, man, I'm not so sure I'm feeling this. Like after the first 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, I don't know, man. But then it got better and better and better. And I really ended up enjoying where it went. And now we got some more announcements. And we talked about this a lot way before this, a lot of these figures even were announced. But we were talking about like how deep is this Ahsoka line going to go? Well, I think now we have our answer that Hot Toys is going to take this line pretty seriously. And now they're doing the Captain Enoch and they're doing the Night Trooper, which will show both of those. They even showed at the sideshow event like a Death Trooper and a Night Death Trooper. So that could be something that hasn't been announced yet that could be up for pre-order sometime soon. That said, Keco, I do want to start with you on this one. There's a Captain Enoch and a Night Trooper, which will show both of those. Are troopers what collectors need right now? Because there's always that space for troopers within Hot Toys sort of overall plan, because they seem pretty inexpensive to make and people seem to buy multiples of them. However, it's a different time now, and now we have different competitors in the market. Keco, I got to ask you, are Captain Enoch and the Night Trooper, are these things that are really going to, keep and grab collectors' attention over the next year and a half? What do you think?
Keep and grab, probably not going to happen, but to get people excited for the potential, 100%. Now, I don't consider Captain Enoch, or Enoch is what he was officially called, I suppose. I don't consider that as, that's not a trooper. It's kind of a person. It's kind of like almost like a name. It's like almost like a named clone, which I said, I'll do the name clones, but I'm not going to do like the grunts and such. Now, the Night and Death Trooper versions that they have with the bandages and, they look really cool. I'm not going to deny. I think they look incredible. But the whole point of this is that when you were looking over the Thrawn Star Destroyers, that they had multiple iterations of them. None of them were, the same. The thing that you can army build with stormtroopers, because they all look the same, that's fine if you're a big trooper and things like that. But these, unless they had swap out bandage pieces and things like that, they're all going to look the same, which I'm not a big fan of, which a lot of people didn't like because of the Sand Trooper. It had that one mark on its helmet, what I'm talking about? Yeah. And they're like, well, now I can't have more than one Sand Trooper because they all have the same mark on their face. And that's the only thing with this. That you can get one, certainly, because I think it looks really cool, but you can't army build this. So that is a little bit of a miss. If you had swappable pieces like they did with the Death Watch Mando, which is what I really, really liked. With the Death Watch Mando, they gave you swappable pieces, different thigh armors and shoulder pauldrons and things like that. So you can have a little bit of variation. But I'm not going to deny that this looks incredible. But it's not going to get people like, man, there's the Death Trooper in the corner. Yep. Where's my Night Trooper or whatever? I can't wait for that thing to hit. Like, man, I'm gonna have to day one Hong Kong batch this thing to get this. That's not gonna be it. But it shows you that they have a deep commitment to this line. I mean, whoever thought that you'd be getting some dirty stormtroopers with some red yarn around their thread or around their arms? I mean, that's pretty cool. But we sit here and wonder, what's next? Where's Shin? Right. Where's Balin? That's what we really care about. But your question, do collectors really want it? I haven't pre-ordered it yet by any means because I'm not that excited. Enoch is different. As I said, that's a named person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Enoch honestly is pretty cool. Like, I mean, honestly,
the golden face is fucking incredible.
The golden face is pretty cool. It's a very unique sort of look for a trooper or a captain or whatever. So this one I actually like a lot more than the Night Trooper personally. Like, it's not going to be one that I think I end up picking up, but when you put him next to Thrawn, it does look pretty cool. It does look pretty cool. But it also depends on how much you like the show, Did he show up in anything else, Keco, Star Wars related, Enoch, or is he new?
No, this is the first thing. Okay. And he's because everyone loved Captain Palion, who was in Mando season 3 during that Shadow Council or whatever. He's like, yeah, once Thrawn gets back or whatever, and everyone's looking forward to that team up because that was his like first mate. That's in canon, if you want to call it that. Yeah. That was Thrawn's first mate. So this is kind of a new character, which is cool. Which I'll go and now I will say he may have been mentioned in the Thrawn Ascendancy books, which I haven't read yet, so I can't speak to that. So if there's anyone out there going to flame me for that, I'm not 100% sure, but it's not Palion.
Well, I mean, I'm excited for Enoch. I think it looks pretty cool. But Natalie, I gotta ask you here. I mean,
then real quick, Jimmy said it's pronounced Enoch. Well, potentially, but Thrawn himself said this is Enoch, Captain of my God. That is directly what he says. So it is.
We're gonna go with Thrawn's words then. We're gonna go because he is the Grand Admiral, and who are we to question him at that point? So Natalie, I gotta ask you though, as a massive trooper collector that you are,
Oh yeah.
How excited do you think or you predict collectors are going to be for these type of figures? Because again, this is the Ahsoka line, which I do think overall there is some excitement for this line. It's not a nothing burger, but it are troopers after all. What do you think how this is going to go for Hot Toys?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that this is very exciting. Now, hear me out. Here's why.
Okay.
Right? You have to remember that not all collectors are 5-10 years into this. A lot of them come into this very new, brand new, and the clone trooper is no longer available. right? You can't find Attack of the Clones anything unless you're finding it on the third-party market, which is very expensive. And so when you are looking for something to add a little pop of color or flair to your collection, this thing does that so well. Like, if you think about the whole Ahsoka line does this very well. So there's rusted.
Will, do you have that picture of all of them together? Because they look
I think so. It's probably on Facebook, right?
I think it's the Hot Toys main page.
Okay, I'll pull it up. Yeah.
And that whole scene together, I think when they did the Sideshow, just did like a collection. I don't even know what it is, like a showcase, right?
Right.
It was to all of them together was, look at this, look at that. Like, this is really cool. So if I was brand new and I didn't have all of the previous clones and the troopers and right, I'm starting out a collection, what a line to start with. What an awesome line to start with. You have color, you have great head sculpts, you have pops of color, you've got a droid, you've got a chopper. You know, I've got R2D2 and I've got C3PO that's on the way, but at the same time, like, those are, you would have had to have had those before. Some of them are still available. Some are waitlist. But I think this is great. I really do. I think a lot of collectors, this is unique. It's an incredible version of the Stormtrooper. It looks different, you know, completely different to what we have now. And Enoch, whatever you want to call him, Noki, whatever.
Noki, we'll find the correct pronunciation.
Enoch.
Right.
I believe it's
Enoch. Look at that photo right there. That's
this one with Thrawn. Yeah.
Oh my God, incredible! Looks incredible when you put it next to Thrawn. I think it looks great. So if you're going to get Thrawn, you're going to get this guy. And yeah, I think this is great. I think this is a huge win. We have nothing else coming out right now. There's nothing new outside of just re-release. Things 2.0s, 3.0s, 5.0s. At this point, like, anything new is welcome. And so this is completely different. I know some people wouldn't think so because it's just another Stormtrooper, but if you're new to the game, this is very different, and I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah. Well, I think, in 2024, collectors are definitely going to have to get used to the idea of going backwards, because I think what we're going to do probably from Hot Toys, we're going to get a lot of artisan figures of older releases, 2.0, 3.0s, whatever, remakes, because there's not a lot of content coming out from those two IPs in 2024. So, I think you're going to see a lot of stuff that maybe people have been waiting for. Maybe you'll start to see that Terminator. Maybe you'll see, an Avengers or Age of Ultron Hawk 2.0, or maybe you'll see, another version, maybe an Artisan Loki is what I'm excited for. That could be a thing at some point. Stuff like that. That's probably what we're going to see more of from Hot Toys in 2024, because they have like almost 80 releases or something this year. I got to check the numbers again, but that's because there was a decent amount of content to work with this year. Next year, not so much the case. But Josh, I got to ask you the question. With these troopers, what do you think this is going to do for, in terms of a retailer perspective? I mean, what do you think? Do people really go for these troopers often? Do they buy multiples? What have you noticed with that?
Dude, so here's how this always goes. I'm going to talk to you guys from I've been on this show plenty of times. I've talked to many people. I'm not a Star Wars fan. To be frank, I probably should watch them again. The last time I saw any of these movies was as a kid. But to me, as a collector, I collect all kinds of different things. I look at these figures they almost look like designer style figures. And I think they're absolutely sick, and they're different from what's normally released. Like, I don't get excited when I see a main character released in just a slightly different format. I love seeing different variant. It's kind of like the Iron Man variants, right? Like, I'll die on this hill. I think the Mysterio's Iron Man illusion, if they didn't create so many, would have been figure of the friggin' year. I thought that was the coolest Marvel release they've ever done. But it doesn't matter because nobody else did.
I liked Mysterio. I thought it was good.
I thought it was sick. I really look at these figures and I think they're just something completely different. I guarantee the sales are going to be terrible. And that's why I'm going to buy a ton, because it's going to sell out and waitlist super early. And then everyone's going to be willing to spend double to try to find one. Just like the pilot, just like the clone pilot, the clone trooper, Geonosis didn't do well. God, the friggin' R2D2 didn't do well. And all of a sudden, everybody wants them again, and they're willing to pay double just because they hit waitlist. This is definitely going to do well later. Right now, it's not going to do well.
So you think people are going to sleep on it, and then once there's some scarcity that's introduced, people will want it? Yeah.
People still have not realized that we're in the day and age of, you better day one it if you want it, because it's going to waitlist. And you can see that now. You can see in the history of all of my orders, Sideshow, anybody, you are seeing the waitlists pop up very early. We're not investing extra if we don't need to. We just don't need to.
That dead stock is too detrimental. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the profit is not worth the dead stock in the slightest. So, and again, like, it's not fun when a collectible is not exactly rare or limited. Like, how don't you appreciate a figure more or want to keep an order more when there's not a lot?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that's something we've talked about a lot.
Yeah,
some people are resistant to that idea.
With these releasing during the holidays and people buying more like ready to ship stuff than not, these are going to be slept on. Orders are going to close in 2 to 3 weeks, and the edition size is going to be finalized. Or edition size, the numbers are going to be finalized, and then everyone's going to go absolutely ballistic when it waitlists. What?
Yeah, he said he would love an edition size.
I would too, but
yeah, Hot Toys is never going to do that unless it's a artisan or exclusive.
And even then, they're not actually numbered. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're not. It's true.
Trouble for saying that, but I don't care.
Well, it's true, because we don't have any idea of how many there
Nothing is numbered. Yeah. Nothing is numbered unless there is an X out of X.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. It's true.
But I feel good knowing that they told me that it's.
I'm glad that psychology works on you.
They got me.
It's true. They got you, Keco. Remember, Keco always says he's like, I'm going to go back to sucking off Howard Chan. So
I could say there are only 30 Captain Enoch at my store, but there's only 30.
Are there actually only 30 Comic Concepts edition size?
I haven't set one yet.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I haven't set one yet, but I don't tell people what I order. Some people try to guess it. That's fine. The best guess is seeing the low stock and seeing it waitlisted. It's fun.
It's 30. Then we're good. So we got it.
Yeah,
so anyway.
It's whatever I want it to be now that it's waitlisted.
Nice. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for your thoughts on this one, guys. Let us know in the chat below whether you're considering picking up Captain Enoch, and the Night Trooper. I guess we'll see.
Sick.
Yeah, the Night Trooper is pretty cool.
Dude, it's super sick.
It has a cool look to it. It has like a sort of Christmas look to it. So maybe that's what Hot Toys was going for. No, it's like an undead Christmas.
Don't ruin it with that.
It does, dude. Look at the color scheme.
No,
it's all,
What is it? Is it Stormtrooper ready for you to unwrap? Is that ribbon? Like, what's wrong with you?
It is, dude. That's what it is. That's what Hot Toys was going. That's why they dropped it now, because they were like,
this wasn't Hot Toys. This was the brand. This is Star Wars, the brand. Right.
I don't even like it anymore now.
If you know a little bit about it, so one of the things that I heard was that they did this the gold cracking because part of, and chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's like a Japanese culture that says if you break pottery, you're not supposed to just fill it in with ceramic. You fill it in with gold to show that it's just as beautiful with its imperfections as it was before its imperfections. And so that's the aesthetic that they went with this. And I love this. I think this is, if I was collecting this whole line, this would be amazing. I would buy at least 1 or 2 of these to have in the collection. I think it's so nice. I love it.
It's called Kintsugi. We talked about that on the stream before. And I love that his Star Destroyer is like that too, which, is beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of goes back to...
Go ahead, Josh.
Well, it kind of goes back to, like I said, I don't collect Star Wars, but I actually have my first Star Wars collectible that arrived. I got the Daniel Arsham C-3PO. That thing looks so sick.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds great.
Oh, it was a Sideshow did it with Daniel Arsham. It's the... They take polystone and they blend it with quartz, like actual quartz, and then they create a designer statue out of it. That's what Arsham's specialty is. I have the Charizard behind me, the Charizard card, but they're doing a Star Wars line. They did a C-3PO that only Sideshow had, and that's still available, shockingly. But the R2-D2, they made 3 different versions, and they each have different positions depending on what retailer they're at. And the ones from Arsham sold out in a minute, and they're going for like $2,000 already, even though they were $600 piece. But the C-3PO is still available at Sideshow. I don't think Arsham fans realize it's there. But I bought a few and I'm keeping one. His stuff is weird. It's just wild.
Well, I know about
the name of the artist.
Huh?
Is Arsham the name of the artist?
Arsham is the name of the artist. He's a designer artist that works with quartz and polystone.
Nice. Well,
yeah, it's sick.
That's pretty cool. Well, guys, thanks for your thoughts on that one. I want to move to something pretty exciting here. I know Keco's going to love this. Let's talk about J&D Studios. Natalie, and I knew you would love this too. Let's talk about J&D Studios because I know Keco's got to do Christmas stuff tonight. So I want to get as much of this type of content and the spiciness that I want to pull out of him as much as possible. I'm going to pull up Comic Concepts here. This is the listing for the J&D Studios Kojin Works 1/6 scale Joker. And let's talk about, let's speculate a little bit. Justin's not here, so we can speculate. It's fine. And I'm sure Keco will really love this. Let's just talk about the idea of, will J&D Studios' impact on 1/6 collecting ultimately be a positive thing or a negative thing? Because we talked about this with InArt, actually, when InArt came into the fold. And we said at least one of the drawbacks potentially with InArt and the amazing quality that they've released so far is the price tag, right? For a lot of collectors, that was something we had to get used to. And we'll talk about that a little bit too. But now with J&D coming in and completely shattering what is reasonably chargeable, reasonable to expect in terms of a price tag for a 1/6 scale figure. Now they've come in, completely shattered that. Because before InArt came in, all of us collectors were like, oh my God, $500, $550, $1,000 for Joker. Fucking ridiculous. Now at this point, we have a Joker with 2 head sculpts at $1,700, right? So the rules have changed entirely. And J&D has taken a huge part in that, and they haven't even released the figure yet. So at the end of the day, we're getting alleged, supposedly great top tier quality, but we're paying a top tier price. And is that going to embolden other companies to start charging a little bit more as well? And is that going to change how people view Hot Toys, how people view InArt, how people view 3.0 or Iconic or any of these other companies if J&D hits to the level that they are claiming they're going to hit? That said, Keco, is J&D's impact ultimately going to be positive or negative on 1/6? What do you think?
It'll be negative within the community because we do not know how to behave. And we do not know how to have civil discussions. Everybody else, everything is so fucking polarized. It's either all this way, all that way. There's no wiggle room in the middle. Either you're a jackass, you're a dumbass, and there's no other option in between. And so it's amazing to me, like how uptight people get, how butt puckered they get when they just worry about, oh my God, I can't believe he's taking this stance on this. Well, we've done this about 18 weeks in a row now, talking about these dumb things. I don't know how many more times in different ways I can say this, but
as many as possible.
But we finally got the price tag, and what irritated me is that, for one, we already talked about this last week. The U.S. distribution thing that already got punched in the balls last week. We talked about that. We're not bringing that back up. Feel free to watch the stream again if you want to hear what we said about it. But then we got U.S. resellers putting their price tag on it. That was obscene, like $2,500 at some places for the 2-pack. Now, I understand, trying to get it across the shores, into your store, into your hands with shipping, whatever, that's fine. But everyone's talking about the price. Everyone's like, well, they can charge what they want. This quality is impeccable. I'll wait for perfection. I'll pay for perfection. I'll have this and that because other people don't have it. I'm going to be a real collector because if you're serious about this collectible, if you're serious about this being your favorite figure, nothing is going to step on this. There's a reason it's $1,800 because look at this thing. And that's my question. For the same price, why is it the figure gets smaller, but it gets more expensive? That's my question. Can
I interject?
Sure. Do you want me to?
The price is not set by the retailers, at least in North America.
Yeah, J&D.
I know that.
J&D makes you sell it at that
price. Yeah, J&D
price.
makes Josh sell it for what
I don't want to sell it at that price.
And that's absurd. And that's absurd.
Yeah, I know.
and so but okay, retail man, speak to me.
I got in trouble when I tried to lower it.
So that's what I want to know is why is it more expensive the smaller it gets? I understand. Well, don't you understand? Compact, the details, that ups the production. It is more expensive for something that is smaller. Now, back in the day, do you remember that old Saturday Night Live skit where Will Ferrell was the one guy and he's like, hello, and he had like the little tiny phone.
Phone.
Yeah. There was a time where phones, like the smaller they were, the cooler they were. Now it's like the bigger the phone, the better you are. Now it's like rebounded a little bit. But what I'm trying to say is that why did it shrink and it became almost astronomically more expensive or right on pace with the 1/3 scale statue? The 1/3 scale statue's got more material into it. It's bigger. There's more stuff that goes into it. Are you really trying to tell me that making the face sculpt, which is just one head sculpt, there's no anything else underneath it that they really have to worry about? I don't want to talk about the hands either, because I really don't think that's worth $1,700 for the hands. Why is it more expensive? Is the body, it's a 1/6 body. Come on. Don't jerk me around on this. It's a 1/6 body. How different can it be to where it's like $1,000 difference between a body, a head, and things like that? That's what blows my mind.
I think Will knows. I think he talked to some people
but that is what's going to make it a negative, because we have that. And look at Fred Armisen there again.
But so Keco, and because you raise a really valid point. For example, I've always given this example: different materials, whatever, right? But Josh knows the Prime 1 Last of Us statue, different IP, whatever. It's quarter scale. It has 3 quarter scale statues. It's $2,000.
They each have their own base, basically.
Yep, and this is $1,700. So it's like we're getting into some unique pricing for 1/6 here. Like that's Keco, that's 3 quarter scale statues in one diorama piece, and it's just a little bit more.
I know, and that's what blows my mind.
Statues behind me are as much or less than this figure,
and that's what blows my mind.
I mean, I mean, we've discussed this. I'm looking around to see, like, okay, what do I have that's more expensive than this Joker?
And for the people that are saying, well, not everyone got the room for a 1/3 or quarter scale, whatever, maybe that's true, But does that say, okay, I really like this figure, I can't afford the space? Obviously, if you're getting this, you can afford the 1/3 one, but I don't have the space for the 1/3 one, so I'm going to pay more for it to be smaller and to fit in this thing. Is that a premium price that we want to allow everyone's like, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't care. Their business. They just want to make money. And as J&D said, it's not, they're just for the real collector, things like that. So maybe it is, say, hey, shrink this perfect little man down. This is like Willy Wonka. We just turn into this little tiny thing at this point. And it just blows my mind. I just do not see the cost benefit at all.
Well, and you do have a valid point there, Keco. And I did end up pre-ordering this because I do love how it looks, but I didn't get the B version. I felt like I was almost like forced to get the A version myself. It wasn't J&D who did it to me. It was myself, because I almost couldn't justify paying $1,600 to $1,700 for just an extra head sculpt and some dogs. And I was like, I actually like this Fred Armisen head sculpt. I actually really like this version. I think this looks great. So I'm like the one person who likes the smiling head sculpt.
And imagine if you got the B version and you got that second head sculpt. Do you imagine how much a pain in the ass it is to try to undo that collar to try to?
Well, that's what I was worried about.
That is wild.
How would you switch the head sculpt? Because
it's
like it's like a neck and torso piece, right? So and that was one of the reasons, Keco, that I didn't order it, because I was like, that's going to be a fucking pain in the ass. I can already tell to switch that. Like that's going to be But Natalie, I want to let you jump in before we get to Josh. Natalie, I mean, what do you think on this J&D Joker? I mean, is this something you would consider picking up? Like, where do you think that the collecting goes with J&D coming in and charging these type of prices?
So I think it's universally agreed upon that they chose the wrong character to do this with. Like, if they would have picked almost any other character, people would be buzzing about it. It could have been literally anything, and it would have been a great value. I think it devalues the ones that we already have. The InArt was so good. It already had the seamless wrists. It had even down to the fingernails. It was just so impressive. And then they introduced this one, and it has a skull behind the skin. And it's like, at what point do we say, okay, enough is enough? So I think just the fact that they created the same exact character just devalues it. So I don't love this. I think it's a net negative. I think everyone who bought the InArt thinking I'm investing money for something that's going to be a one of a kind, or something that's a superior quality above the rest. Like, if all they're doing is saying InArt wants to be better than Hot Toys and J&D wants to be better than InArt, then we're all going to do I'm going to wait for the InArt, or I'm going to wait for the J&D. And the next thing you know, nobody's buying anything because we're all waiting for the other one to make something. So I think it's a complete net negative. I think creating joints and the silicone and all of that is cool, but for $2,000, I don't know. I just think all that's doing is telling other companies that they can increase their prices for stupid exclusives. Like, oh, well, we have this really cool, like, you can put earrings on your figure, like, oh, $200 more, or ours comes with cats and ours comes with dogs. And it's like stupid things that we're just paying all this extra money for. I don't see, I think all of this is a net negative. I don't really see that. It's beautiful. I think I'm very impressed with what they were able to do with the hair. I'm very impressed with the silicone skin. I think at a 6 scale, it's probably a very small amount of silicone. So everyone who's worried like, oh, it's going to crack and it's going to break and it's going to, I think it's a very small amount of silicone. I don't think it's going to crack or break the way that everybody is concerned that it will. But again, this will be a first. So
as you said,
really
this is for the custom market. This is not for the normal. This is not for the real.
And I think
collector.
I see that comment in chat. And I think that
Right.
is accurate. That is accurate. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you are right now. But Natalie, because you asked me the question I wanted to bring up here, just see you real quick. Like you had texted me, I think last night about it. Do we even really give a shit about accessories? Because we've always said that we do, but this J&D comes with very little for the Type A version. Really, both versions. InArt comes with a lot more. Let's be real. And they're charging a lot more than InArt is here. But people like myself are still pre-ordering this. So what do you think? Do we even give a shit about accessories at the end of the day?
Hey, I could have a whole conversation about that because I think that's so if you think about like some of the figures that are coming out right now, and maybe this is something you talk about another point, but like if I look at those 2 dogs, there's no way in hell that those 2 dogs justify the price of that figure compared to an InArt figure, because his neck, let's talk about this character by himself. His jacket covers his wrists. His hair covers his neckline. There is nothing about this particular character that I need seamless joints and a seamless neck. Everything is covered. His neck is down. His wrists are covered. Why do I need everything to be seamless? It would have been much better for this to be a Bane or someone who has basically no clothes on. I have to use this.
Of course.
I have to speak carefully because but this would have been better for like almost any other character, not this character, the one that wears winter clothes at all points of the year. So I don't know. The 2 dogs, to me, it just seemed like something that they felt like they had to do to differentiate themselves from InArt. Like, why would you buy this? Silicone and look at these dogs. Like, why else would you have them? They're pointless, but that's just me.
Well, Josh, what do you think? I mean, from a retailer perspective, again, like, what do you think J&D is going to do to the 1/6 market, moving forward?
So I have so many opinions about so many things, but
share as much as you can.
Well, I want to say this in a way because my word is not law and everyone has it's an opinion. That's exactly what it is. So other people feel differently. My idea of J&D is they are more of course they claim it's like for the premium collector. I really just think they make nice product. I don't really spend the money on their product because the reality is there are other pieces and other things I appreciate more in a piece. Like I like statues with accessories. I think a $2,000 figure, dude, or I don't want to blow it up, 1,700, whatever. I think that's a lot of money. And it's great if you think that you need the best of the best, but I think this is kind of more getting into the whole designer thing. It's kind of like how Cause, right? Toys sell. There's nothing material about a Cause figure that makes it like $10,000, but lo and behold, people buy it. I think it's more of people. I don't think bandwagoning is the right word because that just sounds offensive. I think it's people wanting to be having a brand that automatically states, hey, I have the highest end of this character. And I think that's what J&D sells. And some people want that. Some people want to have the most expensive piece, regardless of what the material it cost went into it. They just want the most expensive piece. It's kind of like when Square Enix put out that $12,000 Final Fantasy set.
Yep.
Everyone knows that thing is worth maybe $1,500 to $2,000.
And it was 6 scale, wasn't it?
It was 6 scale.
Yeah, right.
And yet people still bought it. People still bought it, Will.
Yep.
Knowing full well that it's not worth the cost. And it's just every collector is different. I do not collect J&D. I would much rather spend $2,000 on or even add $1,000 to that and get a life-size bust of a character's likeness. I don't need a figure for that. But again, space is one thing. Blah, blah, blah is another. The thing with me, and whenever someone says premium, I just think, holy fuck, how bad is it going to be if there's a quality issue? Like anytime I see premium, I think this is gonna be a rough sell. Like
Right.
I would much rather sell $1,000 statue with an arm that could possibly break off that I can just swap out. When I look at this figure or anything J&D, I just think, oh shit, if there's anything wrong with that, I'm out a lot of goddamn money.
Right. Well, Josh, that could very much happen to you because they've already talked about those wrists and the arms and everything.
I mean, who starts with that?
That's what I was going to say. They started their message
But
with
by the
saying,
way,
here's
when
how
our
you do
figure
replacements.
does
I do
fuck
respect
up,
the transparency that they were clear about that, but it's not a exciting proposition.
It wasn't put there to say we're going to protect you. It was put there to say, hey, eventually this is going to fail. And we're just letting you know. We're giving you a heads up.
Why not just give us a timeline at that point? You know?
We can say, I told you so.
Right. Well, with this one, if you got the Type A, you're not going to be using that hand anyway. So, you know, it's fine. But it is like, but it's still, you're paying for it. So at the end of the day, it would be nice to be able to use it and not have it fucking crumble. But, you know,
right.
I'm glad they communicated that instead of not saying anything, which they could have done. But, you know, it is, you know, troublesome. It is concerning that you're looking at that and you're like, okay, well, like that's just probably going to break before long. And that's a little bit, you know, that difficult pill to swallow.
I mean, well, that's how I think as a retailer. And then in general, like,
sure.
I can't say that online, but I'm just gonna end it there. It's just every collector is different.
Yeah.
J&D's not for me. I feel they're more of a designer and a way for collectors to say, yeah, I have J&D in my collection, which is fine.
Yeah.
Some people want to be able to say that. I don't give a shit. I don't care what the brand is as long as it's a nice piece of high quality. That's it.
Yeah. Well, makes sense. Well, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, letting us know about this J&D. And of course, whether the J&D is going to be a net positive or negative. I'm going to say positive overall, but the pricing is definitely going to take, I guess, normalized 1/6 collecting to different places, because there's always been people who bought customs, but we don't see it as much in maybe these communities that we talk in. But, you know, it is going to be something that we're going to see more of those type of prices moving forward with J&D. And that's it. We want to continue that conversation, but in a different company here. Let's talk about InArt. Because InArt, Keco's super excited about this one. InArt, because Keco, I only have you for so long. I got to get the most out of you that I can. So, and this is going to do that. So let's talk about, is InArt becoming a value for high-end 1/6 collectibles? And I would be remiss if I did not mention, of course, what I think it might have been Jimmy or Daniel, whoever in the chat mentioned every single stream, the fact that we have sculpted versions and we have rooted versions, right? For a lot of these figures, not for Pennywise, not for Gandalf, but a lot of the others, you have more budget-friendly options for collectors. With Aragorn, you have it with Joker, you have it with Harry Potter, and you know, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Superman's always sculpted, so that one's pretty reasonable. But you know, the quality that InArt has put out so far and the quality that they've shown so far is pretty damn good. It's pretty remarkable. And I think we've all been very excited by that. But now I'm starting at least to see InArt in a little bit of a new light pricing wise, because J&D has come in and dropped this bombshell. Oh, our figure is $1,000. And InArt, Pennywise has 2 head sculpts. They're both rooted, a cool diorama base, and some decent accessories for like what, $500, $550? That's half the price of a Joker with 1 head sculpt, right? So is InArt like now the value brand for high-end collectibles? Keco, I got to ask you this question, because Gandalf for $550 seems like a fucking steal compared to J&D now. What do you think?
They got you, Will. They got you.
They got me. InArt created J&D.
I know
they did.
You.
Well, that's what I was saying, is that
I wish.
Now that we've had, and this is what we were talking about early on, now that this new fish is into the pond with these astronomical prices, you're like, well, $335 is not that bad. $500 ain't that bad.
Yep.
Rewind it back, a couple years ago, and people were pissed that, $300 for an Iron Man. Hell no. Even if it is die cast, I ain't fucking with that. But now here we are. And with their 2.5 releases, I still haven't seen anybody else get Pennywise, and like 5 people have Gandalf. And then obviously Batman's delayed. And
I thought Pennywise has been out for like half a year.
I've not seen anybody else.
Pennywise has been out. Most people haven't gotten some people have gotten him, but not many people bought him anyway. So that's why, probably.
Maybe he's like Enoch then, and our Night Troopers.
He's like Enoch, yeah.
So then I saw like, hey, check out this really cool fabric for this sweater that we got for the new Harry Potter coming out. Great. That's great. That's great. Wake me up when it gets here type of thing. And it just, So people were wild up in the chat saying like, why is Hot Toys wasting money and wasting resources on no-name D-tier characters like Enoch and the Night Sisters and all that stuff? No one cares about that. It's a terrible Disney Plus show. And then on the other hand, you have J&D and you have InArt doing these big name characters. Where do you really want to fall into that line? Because if you're looking at it, you're like, okay, do I want to pay $260 for a Stormtrooper with red bandages, or do I want to pay $335 for an Aragorn figure? Naturally, okay, that the sculpted Aragorn figure looks probably like it's going to be a pretty good deal. But then you have to run with okay, what does my displays look like? Do I just want to have one good representation of a line? Because right now, I know people are super hype about Aragorn and Gandalf. Do you realize how long it's going to take to actually build out an InArt display for these? Everyone's like, well, I'll wait for perfection. We might be into nuclear warfare by the time these things ever shoot out the ass, because getting a Fellowship, getting a Dwarf, getting Frodo, getting Lego, who knows by the time you get any of these type of things. I'm happy for those people that are happy for it. Is it a value? Sure. Everything is your perspective. If you think like, wow, I'm getting exceptional quality and it's a fair price for me to pay, that's what I went a long way to get back to here, is that if you're okay with paying that price and you think it's a good value, then by all means, for sure. But I can tell you right now that J&D is not a good value for the money. But if you're now saying because of J&D that these price hikes are now acceptable, then they got you right where they want you, because everyone rushed out and said, well, you know, I can not go out to dinner this one night. You know, I'll make it work. I'll make it work.
One night? How much do you spend on dinner?
I guess it depends. Well, Keco, we went to Texas Roadhouse. I mean, that was pretty good. I like that.
I mean, that's pretty basic. I mean,
it is pretty basic.
Yeah, don't say that.
It was good, dude. I enjoyed the rolls were great. So.
The rolls are great. Make sure to get
rolls. Those are free.
They are free. There's no NRD for that.
Before I jump off of this topic and let someone else speak, is that I learned that, do you know the reason they give you the bread and encourage you to drink the alcohol is because it stimulates your brain to want to order more food? That's why they take a risk on giving you all the pretty interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why they give you all this free bread, because they'll say, I'll take a loss on the bread as much as you want, because you're going to end up ordering more, because it triggers something.
They must not know their female customers, because the moment you eat bread, you're literally full.
Well, all I thought about was the two different types of butter and the attractiveness of the waitress, because Keco, you were there, remember? So those are the two things.
They just need to show up with just butter, an attractive woman and just butter, like, and then.
Yeah. Well, what was the one butter, Keco? They had like what was the one butter? It was like cinnamon butter. Cinnamon, wasn't it? Like
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Cinnamon butter.
It was pretty good. Texas Roadhouse, guys. Not a sponsor, but you should
yeah, I was gonna say that's the standard. You need to ask for regular butter, which is what Amy always likes. So
yeah, Amy does know best always. But Natalie, got to ask you the question: is InArt becoming a value for high-end 1/6 collectibles? You know, now that we're seeing J&D come in the fold, you know, it's definitely an interesting time. What do you think?
So the first thing I got to do is address something Keco said. So don't hate on Harry Potter, Keco. Okay?
Well, Natalie's a Harry Potter fan now, Keco. You didn't know this.
I'm all in on Harry Potter right now. So
I'm literally replaying Hogwarts Legacy, so I do like it. Don't worry. I'm trying to find that thing.
100%. So I'm all in on this. Like, I'm trying to find it myself. So hey, tradesies, right? We were talking about artist and Anakin, right? So if you've got the artisan, or if you've got the Harry Potter, maybe we talk. Anyway, so I think the way that I look at these is that these are I won't even say that they're like the value, right? So Joker looks unbelievable, right? Harry Potter, look at this kid. Love him. He looks great. I'm like in love with this character and this figure right now. So if you think about like Hot Toys, right? Hot Toys makes everything, right? They make literally everything and anything. InArt makes a few things. And J&D makes nothing. They make one. They make
some dogs.
They make dogs. Look, they make some good dogs, right? I don't think anyone has ever made dogs quite like J&D has made dogs, because nobody makes dogs, because nobody wants the dogs. Who buys a figure for the dogs? Nobody, unless the dogs are the main character. And even Hot Toys, did they make a dog? Did they make
they made the dog with not Captain Marvel.
With Rock. They made the Cosmo with Rocket.
Yep.
Cosmo, and then what about Pizza Dog? Did they make Pizza Dog?
They didn't make Pizza Dog, interestingly enough. Yeah.
Shame.
So J&D jumped in and filled that void in the market. So
yeah. So for me, when I think about the best or like the value of sorry, I'm trying to when I think about like value for high-end collecting, I'm thinking Hot Toys. I don't think about J&D, and I definitely don't think about InArt. I think Hot Toys is the value for high-end 1/6. And I think InArt is what you spend the extra money on to get the better version of that, right? J&D is just the equivalent of buying like an overpriced product that does the exact same thing, but for no reason has all these extra bells and whistles, like a skull inside of a figure that for no reason. So no, I don't have a lot much more to say than what Keco said. For me, InArt is, it's like if you're going to go to a store and you're going to buy a purse, right? You're going to get the one that has like the luxury vinyl lining. That's InArt, right? Hot Toys is the value one. That's the one where it's the Coach, it's the Louis Vuitton. Everyone thinks that those are the expensive ones. They're not. The Coach and the Louis Vuitton, those are the 1/6 market. That's the Hot Toy brand. J&D is just a ridiculous tiny little one that looks like a Pepsi can that's $10,000 for no freaking reason whatsoever. That's what J&D is doing right now.
Well, interesting, because I really like how the J&D Joker looks, but we're going to find out because I'm going to compare them. I'm going to keep the NR one for now, and then
you're saying you like the way that J&D's Joker looks. They're just using Heath Ledger's likeness. So you like Heath Ledger's likeness. Like, what about J&D do you like that's so different from the InArt version?
Well, I think
outside of the movable joints.
I think at the end of the day, Natalie, what it comes down to, and I think this will be the case for a lot of collectors, and in the chat, drop your comments and see if you agree with me. It's the likeness. At the end of the day, that really is, Justin described it as the soul of the figure, and that's how I would describe it. Like, that's what people are ultimately paying for. They want the most realistic looking thing on the shelf. And at the end of the day, like, those accessories we got from InArt are fantastic. The jail bar diorama, the bench, the grenades, the guns, all that stuff is great, but it's sort of like, I guess, just sort of extra icing on the cake. At the end of the day, how good is the head sculpt? That's really.
I would challenge that to the ends of the earth. I think that the InArt head sculpt is way better than the J&D version.
Really? Okay. Well, that's not. I don't think that's a bold take necessarily, but
I do want to let people know, like, full disclosure, I don't have either one. Right? I don't actually have an InArt figure. I'm trying to get a good friend of mine to work on something with me, but I actually don't have an InArt figure right now. But I will say, from everything I've seen, all of the blogger photos of the InArt and the J&D and the in-hand photos of the InArt, I think that the InArt nails the eyes. There's something about the eyes that are off. It almost seems like maybe it has something to do with the magnetic, like they can't quite line up the eyes right, but there's just something a little soulless about the J&D version that I've seen so far. But we'll see how it lands.
We will, but this kind of proves my point, Natalie. InArt's a value. Because like that head sculpt is really good apparently, and I guess we'll see. But Josh, I want to get to you on this one. Is InArt becoming a value for high-end 1/6 because of what J&D is doing? What do you think? I know this is a tough one for you since you don't carry InArt, but
it's more than that. It's more of like, I look at these figures and I don't understand where the value comes in at these prices, regardless. I mean,
kick him out of here. Just kick him out. Just boot him out of here.
To be frank, no. To be frank, InArt's not rooted hair figures where they're like 300 to 400, I think is a pretty good value, because I do see better likeness in many of these versus Hot Toys. Not all of them, but some of them really do have a better quality look to them. That being said, I still don't understand why they're more expensive when they're not licensed in most territories. So I understand there's a price for likeness and of course like better quality, but again, why are they so goddamn expensive compared to a Star Wars Hot Toys where some of them, you know what? I keep seeing that. I understand 1/3 J&D Wonder Woman is epic. That doesn't mean it's not incredibly overpriced. I totally get it. A lot of these pieces, just to me, I think the market's getting a bit out of control. I really do, from a pricing standpoint. I haven't been in the market forever, but I've been doing this 6 years now, and collecting even longer than that. I mean, I started in memorabilia, and I really do believe that either the pricing is skyrocketing because there's not as many orders coming in, or it's literally just come down to the ability for companies to put plants in forums, create major hype, fake accounts where it's like, oh my God, look at how amazing this is. Look at that, I got it. And then create even more demand when they claim it's waitlisted, but then all of a sudden it's available in like a year at retailers again. For me, I think there's value in high end, but wasn't Hot Toys high end?
They
like
were
2 years ago. So
still are, but
I don't know. I feel like there's no end to this. I think it's great that there's competition, and I think in the end, Hot Toys is going to pull ahead with them having to put in more effort to their figures to continue to make high sales. But I think, like going into these extremes, like $800, $1,500, $2,000, dude, like I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it. It's a figure in the end. Granted, I haven't handled an InArt or a J&D figure, but I mean, I'm one of those guys, when you buy something, I like polystone. I like knowing if I touch a piece, it's not going to fall apart in my hand if I use the wrong muscle strength. You know what I mean? Like, I got one Hot Toys.
How much muscle strength do you use when you handle your figure?
Too much.
I got my first Hot Toys in Captain America, and I immediately ripped his thumb off. And I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm done.
Too strong, dude. Too strong for one.
I'm not, though. No, I'm not. I don't wear tank tops because I have bulging muscles. I have bulging sweat. So I like being airy.
Oh, okay. Good to know. But yeah, I mean, but you guys are right. And we're going to talk about.
Make you laugh through that whole speech, and you were just unfucking phased.
Yeah, dude, that's how it is. But anyway, guys, I want to move on to our next topic because we're going to continue this discussion. It's going to be, again, in the vein of sort of what we talked about already. But I want to move on and ask the same, similar type of question here about some Hot Toys related stuff, because we have like another 15 minutes with Keco, and I want to make sure we get some epic rants out of this. So that said, I want to ask the question: did Hot Toys the Batman send a message to competitors? Because there have been a lot of very positive reviews about this figure. I'm just going to bring up Justin's as an example, but I know Justin had mentioned in his review, and other people had said similar things. Justin said this is the best Hot Toys figure he's ever had. That's pretty intense right there, right? Yeah. That could be hyperbolic, but I guess we'll find out over time once people will start getting these in hand in the States and other places. But is this something where Hot Toys is sending a message to their competitors, to their competition, saying, we're still here and we're still the shit, and we're going to make this Batman as good as possible? So InArt, whoever, J&D, if you end up making a Robert Pattinson Batman, you can charge whatever you want. We're going to charge $315, $350, whatever it was, and make this shit awesome. Because Justin even told me, he was like, this thing is really, really good. It's really great. And it's like, very close to the InArt in terms of overall quality. And again, it's, if you get the sculpted InArt, of course, it's more in alignment with this price, if not cheaper. But if you get the rooted one, a little more expensive, just depends on what you get. Keco, does Hot Toys send a message here? Because they seem to really try with this figure. What do you think?
I don't really know, because they may send some internals to the companies, but damn, as I said last week, the nitpicking that people still have with it.
Sure.
Like, they're like, it's still just not good enough. It's just not good enough. I mean, what message is it sending? That it's getting as close as possible? Like, I am annoyed that there isn't one to completely compare it to 100%, because we're going to have to keep having this damn discussion for the next however long it is until the fucking InArt Batman releases. And I'm tired, man. I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired.
I heard it might be dropping in January. We will see, though.
Oh, here we go. Then it's going to drop in some reviewers' hands, and then people are going to. You want to
lose their minds.
You want to see people get mad. They're going to say, like, how did come these people got it? Where's mine? Because people were getting mad about Gandalf taking forever. People are already upset because they can't find this particular figure to pre-order from. Maybe they missed it out. It's on wait list. They can't get it for anybody. They already are trying to get second batches from Hong Kong. All those different options. People really want this figure. What did I just do? Oh, you changed the picture.
Yeah.
And we know it's desirable. I just don't know what the message is, because other than the fact that, yeah, we can put out a good figure, because we've seen this multiple times. We have a banger come out that was announced around the same time, and then you get this absolute piece of shit. Like, you'll be like, what the hell was that? And it just goes back and forth. They're going to put more effort into some higher tier characters. We know that. So I don't know if there's a message really to be had, other than the fact that, hey, we can't fuck this one up. And they didn't. But even though there's still plenty of people that think it's terrible, and that's the worst thing I've ever seen. They'd rather have Gilgamesh, because it's better than Batman. And they're like, what a disrespect. Yeah. Hot Toys has really fallen off, you know. The one that got me, and I'll shut my ass up, is that the one last week, and they're like, this doesn't even fit in the car. I was like, for one, it's an unlicensed car. For one, it's an unlicensed car by somebody that wasn't planning on putting the figure in there. Like, you have to take the feet off. Shame. I can't wait for InArt. I hope they got it right.
Yeah, that is a pretty specific complaint. I mean, Hot Toys has no affiliation with Jazz Inc. So yeah, it wouldn't really make sense. But Natalie, I want to let you jump in on this one. I mean, do you think there was any sort of message here, or you think Hot Toys is just simply like, we can't fuck this one up because it's the Batman? What do you think?
I do. I really do. I think they work their asses off to try and show that there's no competition between them and another brand. Especially because if you think about this being a Warner Brothers license, and the other companies, right? Let's just call them what they are, the InArt or the J&D, or really anyone who has an WB license. They're trailing their releases, right? They're seeing the ones that they're releasing, even Pennywise. Like, who would have ever thought, besides Will's wildest dreams, that multiple companies would be chasing a Pennywise IP? Like, what? We're in crazy times right now. So they're going to put more effort into these characters just because they want to prove that that their product is better. So now, it's not like Marvel or Star Wars or any of the other ones, because there's no competitors. If anything, I wonder, does this eventually lead to a place where they say, you know, we're going to stop pursuing these WB licenses because we're going to have like 7 other competitors and we don't want to have to fight for them? In fact, we probably just like lean towards these, because if the WB ones are already not selling that great, and then they're also competing, like, they're putting their namesake almost on the line every time they put out a WB figure, because other companies are putting those same figures out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually reverses, where Hot Toys says, all right, we're just not going to do these anymore. Which in that case, then I don't know if that's a win or a loss for folks, but I think it does definitely send a message to competitors that they are, and the fact that they released it soonest, right? I think that was I know to us it doesn't feel that way, but I feel like to them it was like whoever can finish fast. It was a race. They finished first, and it was really good. It's pretty astonishing what they were able to do. So I'm super impressed by it. I think they did a great job. I think they are, if not like millimeters behind the InArt version. And that's only because, what does the InArt version have? They have maybe a little bit better texture, a little bit better color, but like super minor things. And to have it probably like a year before most people will have it, I mean, it's totally worth it. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people, Nat, for sure, that picked this one up. And, you know, I actually found one. There was a very nice collector who reached out to me and said they're willing to sell me their InArt Batman pre-order because they picked up this one. So I think there are going to be collectors, again, and that to me is like a subtle message to collectors and Hot Toys sending to these other companies saying like, hey, like, we're still here and we're still the shit. So you better recognize. So Josh, I got to ask you, Josh. I mean, do you think there's anything, any subliminal messaging going on from Hot Toys here about, you know, having people remember sort of what quality they can produce? What do you think?
No, I genuinely believe that InArt and J&D are not much of a threat to Hot Toys in the slightest. I think this is from a bit. So how do I word this? In a better perspective, the figure market is down significantly right now. Nobody gives a shit about how premium you want to make your figure. Some do, but not enough to make a massive profit. So, I mean, what you're looking at right now, I mean, Hot Toys isn't trying to be the best. They've already been very good. They've already sold their units. And whatever production was done here started a year ago. So they weren't trying to come out and be like, look who we are, here we are. This is already what they've been producing. Like this has already been in the works. So like definitely J&D had no influence on this release. InArt, maybe, but not really. I mean, it's possible. What the hell do I know? But I think the reality is, I think they're actually going in the opposite direction. I mean, did you see their new Hot Toys line under a different studio name?
Hono Studios, yeah.
Yep, Hojin Studios. So they're actually going towards the more affordable route because people are not buying high-end figures right now, or as much as they used to. So they need to change something. So why not make things more affordable, go a classic route, and put in less work, but still make a nice figure? That's what I think. I think they're fine raising their prices and making less figures. And I think that's the route we're going, which we're seeing across the board in many collectibles. That's what they're going to do. They may increase their quality a little bit, but they're going to raise the price correspondingly, and they're going to produce less. And that's the direction we're going. They're still going to be the most affordable premium figure line or company, and they're still going to put out quality product nearly every time with easy to replace options if there's any quality issues. Every time. So no, I don't think they're concerned about the other companies. Maybe from like their artisan line, they're just trying to pull away business from InArt, which they're definitely doing. I mean, they're definitely aware that they exist and they're making moves, but I don't think that's their priority.
Yeah, because and there could be innovations, Josh, that come to be because of InArt or J&D, whoever, but maybe not. I mean, because Hot Toys did update that Batman head sculpt as soon as, or not long after InArt sort of announced theirs and announced that, there's some updates to that one. Hot Toys was like, well, we're updating ours too. And, and so I think they are, like you said, paying attention.
To be honest, let's not be crazy. There are people that work for all the companies within these factories. I mean, none of these secrets stay secret. So, there's a lot of, it's the right word. I don't want to start going into this whole like rabbit hole of like corruption and spies, but
yeah,
I mean, the reality is it's business. It's a different country and not everybody's honest. Everyone knows what's going on in each of these factories. I mean, the same factory can produce licensed and unlicensed stuff. So they're all aware of what everyone's projects are. That's the best way to put it. And I think the highest bid wins the majority of the factory and the resources of that factory. But, I don't think there are any secrets. If InArt wants to put out a scope, yeah, they're going to try to stomp them. But I don't think they're changing their business model to compete against InArt and J&D.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for your thoughts on that topic. And I got to say, these photos by BG Toy Art are fucking awesome, dude. Like, these photos are literally, like I told you, Keco, I think these might be the best Hot Toys blogger photos I've ever seen. I mean, he went really extra mile here, putting him in the water.
When he comes out of retirement sometimes to do they slap.
I mean, he's the GOAT. I mean, there's no question about it. It's not even a question. And Keco, I got to ask you, dude, we got to continue this conversation. Leading into 2024, and Josh has already kind of talked about this a little bit. Is Hot Toys going to struggle if they're sort of quote unquote king of quality status or challenge? Because we've talked about this a lot of times. We talked about what is high tier, and that definition seems to be shifting a little bit, right? And we talked about the Hot Toys 3.0 thing, sort of as a fun little topic, right? I know Keco said it was a bullshit topic, but it was fun. It was fun to discuss. We got some engagement out of that one. But really, the definition of what is high tier and high end is really starting to shift a little bit, and it's kind of, I'm noticing this, at least in this community, starting to shift away from Hot Toys. I'm seeing a lot of comments and a lot of streams like, well, they're in different leagues. Like Hot Toys is here and InArt's here and J&D's here. And that's never been something that Hot Toys has ever experienced before. Hot Toys has always been up here and everyone else is down here, right? That's changing though. The perception is changing, at least among hardcore collectors like ourselves. But Keco, with limited Star Wars, limited Marvel coming out, new things releasing in 2024, are we going to see Hot Toys struggle a little bit possibly if these other companies are actually releasing things and they're as high quality as we think they're going to be? What do you think about that?
I don't think that they've ever said that they were the king of quality, for one. I think maybe we have decided that that's something that we kind of put out there. But they're not off to a great start, I can tell you that. And for all the people that sit there and think I suck off Howard all the time, I mean, look no further than Wolverine, which was just a couple weeks ago. They are riddled with the 501st Battalion things. They're terrible when it comes to like bases and things like that. They really suck when it comes to some of those bases. The IG-11 base with the feet on it that don't actually, they're human feet instead of, you know, droid feet. I mean, you can go all kinds down the what you consider quality to be, but we'll see when the first artisan stuff comes out, because I feel like that's going to be the main. You got them pulled up. That's going to be the main thing. Right now, they're really looking at the exclusive tag on some of those things, especially. But I don't think even the exclusive pieces are even really something to like get super excited about. That like animated Spider-Man that was up this like week, I suppose, or whatever that one, that Hong Kong exclusive, only 4. Well, either way, comic Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I thought it doesn't look great. I love the little green goblin. I told you that, but it doesn't look great. I think the tailoring's really weak. Lot of cheap plastic, lots of cardboard dioramas. They've been doing a lot of cardboard diorama type of things, but if they end up flipping the script and really making the artisans like, okay, we're going to do 12 artisans a year, whatever it may be, 12 artisans a year, and then there's going to be the Hono Studios for your very budget-friendly pieces. If everything else, if they nail the artisans, they do the Honos, and you kind of get what you get, but then everything in the middle is just kind of okay. As long as they don't raise the prices, I'm fine with the Wolverine and things like that, because I don't really care about that. I want something, like you said, I want it to look right. And for the people that think I don't care about accuracy and things, I do. I mean, I don't want it to look like somebody that's not there. I mean, go back all the way to the Athena. They're like, is that Angelina Jolie? I would say maybe not, honestly, you know, because there's some head sculpts that do miss. But I don't know. The king of quality, I don't think they ever said they were the king of quality. You went, when I said that. Did you want to have a rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. So the one thing that I can think of, Keco, is when, because I've used this footage a couple of different times now, there was like sort of this documentary on who are hot toys or whatever that I think Sideshow had put up years ago, and I've used that footage from them, Howard being at Comic-Con and stuff like that. So I don't think they said it, but it's in that video. It's an official video. And there are people saying like Hot Toys is synonymous with quality, and everyone views Hot Toys as the industry standard and this, that. So I think they've pretty much said that. I mean, I think that Howard didn't say it himself, maybe, but I would
argue, just to push back, let me suck off from I would argue that their quality has improved since even that video.
Sure.
The stuff has gotten better. You put out 100 different things a year, you're going to have some QA issues. It's just the bottom line. I mean, even pick any company you want. There's QA issues across the board.
No doubt.
There's going to be something that happens. What's that?
InArt's perfect.
InArt is perfect. Well, if you only release one figure a year, there you go, guys.
Yeah,
go ahead and get mad at me.
Go ahead and take a shot.
Yeah, if you only release one a year, it better be perfect.
Well, Keco, as before we wrap up with you here, like, what do you think? I mean, what happens if the artisan hair sucks? What happens then?
If the artisan hair sucks, they're going to have a real big problem, because a lot of people will be like, okay, I'll just get the sculpted, because outside of Anakin, there has been a sculpted version each time. They're just going to hurt their own sales if the thing sucks.
It'd be really awkward because the sculpted are sold out.
Yeah.
I mean, is it?
Well, Wanda's still up for PO.
Yeah.
But, and Joker's sold out on Cosmic Concepts, but not sold out everywhere else.
Bro, you gotta stop. People keep writing about Cosmic, and it's bad.
Are they actually messaging me? Dude, that's hilarious. So Natalie, and Keco, I know you got to run actually, so I'll play you off like at the Oscars.
Thank you.
So Kiko's got to go do some Christmas shopping. It sounds like. Keco, is there anything you want to tell the people that's coming up? Because I know you got some spicy videos. Should be dropping soon.
Well, I do appreciate the people that have been a part of my journey, showing we're in the home stretch. We're in the end game of whether or not this display thing that I did is going to work. It's been like 3.5 weeks in the making. I think I started it December 5th. Yeah, I think I started it December 5th, moving everything out. We're putting up the acrylic now, and we will then finally repose everything, and you'll get a new collection tour. And that when you guys can go to town saying you suck and I can't believe you did this, and you know, that's fine. That's fine, because at least I have room to put my vehicles. And for people that were asking, they're like, man, love seeing the Ghostbusters front and center. I was like, that was the point. I wanted to, when you walk in, for you to see Venom, my giant Venom statue, and I wanted you to see the Ecto-1. Everything else around it was built for those pieces, because I want to get everything all together in one room. That was the whole point of the collection tour. Anyway, that's coming, everybody. So feel free to check that out. But I just did my most underappreciated, my I can't even say it. The most underappreciated figures of 2023 for all the people out there that said, best figures, this isn't that. No, we're going to talk about the most underappreciated. So feel free to check that out if you haven't done that already. I do appreciate all that. But Merry Christmas, everybody. Spend time with your family. Enjoy the holidays. Even the controversy that we have on here, I enjoy it because at the end of the day, I think having opinions is good. I want to be able to have the ability to discuss things. So I'm fine with that. I can be wrong, and I'm happy that people think I'm wrong because we're having a discussion, and I want to continue to have discussions because open forums are a great thing. Yeah. So that's it for me, everybody.
Keco, don't listen to any of that. Honestly, I saw all of your videos. I think it looks good. You're doing a really good job. I'm excited to see where your collection is going. I think it's such an innovative way to display what you've got. You have a totally different collection than most people. They have single figures. You've got vehicles and you've got big, giant things with wings, and just do it. It looks good. I think it looks good. It's very innovative for when you have statues. It's coming together very nice. Keep what you're doing.
I hope so,
I'm excited to see how it looks.
I'm excited. So this is going to be a good thing. So everybody, Merry Christmas. Hopefully everyone gets what they wanted. Stay off the naughty list, and I'll be talking to you all
Keco,
soon.
just remember, buy nicer, buy twice, dude.
That's right. Yeah, Will, buy nicer, buy twice with your J&D. You should have
exactly. See, you can get it. All right, dude. I'll see
y'all. Bye.
All right. So, guys, go check out Keco Collects as we were talking about. But Natalie, I got to get you in on this one. So, the king of quality status, again, Hot Toys never said that. So I put it in quotes as sort of like Hot Toys didn't say that specifically, so I'm not meaning to imply that. But, what do you think, Natalie, if the perception shifts in any way? Do you think Hot Toys could have some issues? Because one thing, I meant to bring this up, actually, I forgot because Keco was so distracting in the pink room. But I brought up the old polls that I ran, and there were different ones that we ran. This was actually 5 months ago. And we didn't have 698 votes, pretty good amount, small sample size. But I asked people, what's their yearly budget for collectibles, right? This is not just 1/6. This is collectibles. A lot of these are 1/6 exclusive, but they'll buy other shit here and there. And generally speaking, you can see most people are under about $3,000 a year. That's 63%, $3,000. So if they buy one J&D, that's $1,000, right? So that's a third of their budget, unless they're stretching that budget or they're maybe misinterpreting how much they have to spend. If Hot Toys, if those companies start stealing some of that pie, those pieces of that pie, could that put them in a situation? What do you think?
Yeah. I don't think Hot Toys announces themselves as the king of quality, but I think they like to think of themselves that way because they were for so long. There was never a competitor. So it's almost like saying checkers is never going to be chess, right? And so all of a sudden there's a new modern way to do chess, and all of a sudden you're defending the old school way of doing chess. If you think about challenging the quality of Hot Toys, they're limited Star Wars and they have very limited Star Wars and Marvel properties coming out in 2024. So they're definitely going to be challenged. If all they're doing is re-releasing old things, then maybe not. But if they're trying to take on some of the newer properties with WB and the shared licenses, then certainly. But I don't think they're going to struggle. So if the question we say, will they struggle in 2024? Then I don't think that's correct. And the reason I say that is majority of collectors, I think, have come to know and accept that Hot Toys, the price range of Hot Toys is standard for 1/6 collecting, right? You're going to spend between $280 to $320, and that's going to be your typical price. With InArt, you're going to spend closer to $500, right? You just have to accept that if you're going to be doing brooded. So I don't think they're going to struggle, but I think they internally as an organization are going to struggle with that brand. Are we the king of quality? And I'm sure that's eating at them. So this is why I think they came out with the artisan line. I don't think that ever that they sat at a boardroom table and said, let's come up with some new innovative things. Up until InArt really came to the table, they were not thinking of how do we change the thing, our successful recipe, right? If we have the most popular pancake house in the world, let's talk about how we're going to make waffles. No, they're not doing that. But here comes InArt with their waffles. So I think that's why they had to switch and they had to shift. So I'm really hoping that their artisan brand comes out good. Because if not, it's just going to be like a real big slap in the face. You guys, you piggybacked and you rode the coattails of another organization just because that's what was popular at the time, and you didn't actually have the capability to do it. So I'm really hoping that it doesn't suck, or else they're going to lose a big portion of faith of their customers. Because right now they are, even though everybody says, oh, InArt, Hot Toys still is the king of quality. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say it because it is still very true. InArt has better materials. Their head sculpts have been better, but overall, if you're looking at the background of a company, Hot Toys is still at the top. If they screw up this artisan line, they put themselves at risk of losing that title.
It's true. I mean, the artisan line is very important, I think, now, even though it's limited like that, just because the Hot Toys now has like almost 3 different tiers, because they have the Hono, they have just the standard Hot Toys, now they have artisan. So they have 3 different things. And this is their high end, right? Yeah. So if their high end doesn't deliver, then that market is a little bit lost. But, they're also tackling characters these other companies just can't go for.
But think about it this way, right? So they've always done characters that no one else has licenses for. So there's no comparison. So now you have Joker, right? Joker, let's put Joker out there, right? You've got a sculpted version, and then you've got the rooted version. Yeah. Hot Toys has always been the top of the line, and no one else has been able to do it. Now they've put out something that only they've ever done. So if Hot Toys comes out and does it worse than them, then that's saying that if you gave them a Marvel license or a Star Wars license, who would do it better, right? So they're putting their brand on the line essentially with this. So it's just very interesting to see, like, once the artisan figures do come out, if they compare, because then the quality crown will be passed if they can't quite make it. Yeah.
We'll see. Before I get to Josh, I'm so sorry, Connor. I forgot the super chat. I missed it with Melon here. Connor dropped a $1.99 super chat. Thanks so much, bro. Shirley Howard is seeing the demand for Shin, please. Yeah, dude. Honestly, Shin, I'm guessing, anytime with those figures with an actual likeness, they take a little bit more work to secure, I think, and pay the actors and everyone involved for the use of the likeness. So I think those are a little bit more significant than compared to like a Night Trooper, right? Like those are much more simple to make and inexpensive and stuff like that with no likeness. But thanks so much, bro, for the comment. But yes, we need Shin. I think a lot of collectors really want that Shin Hadi. So Josh, dude, what do you think about this? As someone, again, who doesn't really carry InArt figures, but does carry now the new J&D Kojin works. What do you think with Hot Toys here? If people start to question the high-end status of Hot Toys, would that be problematic for them? What do you think?
I mean, people are already questioning it, but again, in the end, purchases come down to budget.
Right.
The reality is those that spend a ton of money, they're going to spend money wherever. Like, fine, you have another option. That doesn't mean they're not going to get the Hot Toys figure. And the reality is that Hot Toys' business doesn't come from the vocal. It's usually from people who simply want a collectible. They're not necessarily on forums. They're not necessarily on this show right now. And they go simply buy. And I think it's hard to word this in a way, but I think InArt and J&D, Kojin, whatever, look a lot larger than they actually are. Because the marketing on Facebook and what we're exposed to is so in your face on a daily basis. But the market is much larger than that. And I think they're not going to struggle with the king of quality title, because they are the king of quality. They are the only company I know outside of Sideshow that actually has replacement parts at the ready and is ready to replace anything that's wrong immediately. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. If you disagree with that, you're just in denial. Sorry, but it's true. Sure, InArt and Queen might have replacements. I haven't experienced that, but I do know they're mostly not licensed. And so if anyone's asking for replacements here in North America, you're blessed if you're getting anything, just by the way. The only reason you're getting those replacements is because they're still trying to put their feet in the market or put their hands in whatever appendage is going in the market. They're putting it in. So it's one of those things where it's like, no, they're not going to struggle with the status of king of quality. They're going to study with business, period. I mean, this year is going to be very rough on most collectible manufacturers. It's going to be very rough. Outside of the low edition size statues, where most of the wealthier collectibles are not really affected, it's everyone is going to currently struggle. I'm actually pretty surprised that, Kojin and I'm struggling with these names. Kojin and InArt are actually putting out more high-end product when the market is actually going to be struggling pretty heavily here shortly. But that also goes to show, Hot Toys went towards the lower budget market. The art is in response to InArt. It is in response to InArt. It was not an original new idea that was going to come out. It happened because of InArt. But outside of that, I genuinely believe everyone's going to struggle, and they're probably going to have to start looking at reducing pricing or accept the fact that their market is going to be directed at the high end. That's the only area where Kojin and InArt are going to succeed. And that just further goes to show that their market is not as big as everyone thinks, because not everyone's wealthy as fuck.
Right.
That's just the reality.
I think that's why they also came out with their Hono brand.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. They went
probably
the direction.
Right. They probably looked at everything and said, most of the market or most of the competitors are going this way. What if we came out with a secondary brand that goes this way? Right. They're looking for the bottom tier percent of people that are not willing to price themselves out. Right. And they're so smart. This is a business.
They know the game.
They've been doing this for 20 plus years. They know the game, and so king of quality, king of business, they're always going to come out on top. Now they do have to prove. Thank you, Ben Thomas Show. I appreciate you. They do have to prove that they can nail this artisan line. Do not come out with a brand that competes directly with your number one competitor. Your number one competitor says we do rooted hair. Do not pretend like you can compete with them and come out with a brand and dangle it in front of collectors, put it behind a paywall as high as the ones you've been putting it behind, and then fail to deliver. That is something they have to overcome that. Otherwise, they're going to lose a lot of faith in a lot of people.
Either they're going to copy exactly what InArt did with protecting the rooted hair on their figures, or they're just not going to give a shit. They're going to bet on the fact that it's limited, and everyone's going to have to learn how to style figures' hair.
I hope they copy what InArt did, because InArt did a very successful job at pushing that out. I'm very nervous that if you think back to there's the Wonder Woman, I don't remember which one it was.
The WB100 one. Yeah, they packaged it separately. Yeah.
I don't know how it was packaged, so I would assume it was packaged similar, maybe not.
It was, yeah.
Okay. That's all right.
Well, yeah, it had like the Wonder Woman had like a separate sort of acrylic thing just for the head and the hair. So it had like little spots for the hair and everything. So they did package it similarly to InArt, where they put the head in a separate little container, with the hair, where it maintains the quality and the integrity of it over time. So yeah, hopefully that works. But we've seen multiple versions of this Anakin now on display, where maybe the display people, Sideshow or that other store, I think it was Japan or something like that, where Anakin's hair didn't look as great. So I think Josh is onto something that we are going to have to get used to doing some styling with these. Like, I do think that's going to be a thing.
Yeah. That Anakin, I think a lot of people are worried, myself included, right? I took a shot. I said, all right, I got the Anakin, right? So like I stood in line for it just like everybody else, and I just got lucky and I got the number. But then I also have the Attack of the Clones one, and I just love that one. And I don't know that I want to fuss with the hair. And so like personally, I don't think I'm going to keep the other one. Like, I just don't know that it's for me. So I've always told Keco, like, if the Attack of the Clones ones come and it's perfect, like, I'm just not going to keep the other one. So I feel good for myself, but for other people who are like, well, I have no other version, right? I'd be very upset for them, because like this, you are banking on this being perfect for you. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Well, guys, thank you so much for your thoughts on that one. I think, again, it's a fun topic just to explore and see where things are headed in 2024. But yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting time for sure. So, and we have time for one more topic, I believe. And there were a couple announcements, so we'll have time just to probably get to one more here. But I think this was one actually that we didn't get to touch on too much last week that I wanted to touch on. And I think it's particularly relevant now, the fact that Aquaman is now out, right? And it's the last DC film of that current franchise there, because now we have the DCU, and the DCEU is now no more after Aquaman. So we had some photos posted of the Ben Affleck Batman, the 2.0 version. So this is something that I wanted to ask again, like, People seem to be excited about this one, despite the fact that the DCEU is now no more. So, Natalie, I want to ask you the question here. Is this the Batman figure that collectors need, but maybe not the one they need right now? Is this bad timing? Should they have done this maybe like a year ago, maybe sometime around like even Snyder Cut or something else? I mean, is this something that is really going to grab collectors' attention? What do you think?
I love this. So many people are saying this is like, why are you doing this now? 2.0, a cash grab. But I always look back to people that never collected a certain line at the time. For me personally, right, Star Wars is a brand or is a IP that I was not collecting when I first started. I was only collecting Marvel for many years, and now here I am, 2021. 2022 is when I started collecting Star Wars. So I'm grateful anytime something comes out like my Anakin Attack of the Clones that I can collect, right? That's new. But the artisan version, right? This is almost like a re-release, but it has rooted hair. This is something that people who may not have been able to collect this before can now collect it. And it has the rolling eyeballs, and it's got a better head sculpt, better paint apps. I love this, I think, especially in a time where the SAG-AFTRA strike has just come to an end and there's really nothing else that they can create. Why not take some of the most beloved characters that you can find, reproduce them in 2.0 versions? And I know some people might not like that because it devalues some of the collection, but at this point, you have to come to realize that Hot Toys is not going to be one of those like where they make one character one time and it's never going to be released again. We've now come to realize this is going to be a rolling cycle where anything that's really popular will be remade, and a 1.0 will always turn into a 2.0 if it's a main character. So I'm really excited for people who always wanted this version of him. And I know there's so many other versions of him, but so for many people, you could say it's a little too late, but for me, I think it's really cool. Go back to that last one. Look at the lines. One more over.
This one?
That looks like a movie still.
Yeah, it does.
If it wasn't for just those pointy little hair strands, like that looks like a movie still. You have the little jowls, the wrinkles. This is wonderful. So 2.0 or 2.0, it's entirely up to the collector. I think this is a 2.0 go. Buy it. This is great.
2.0. Nice. Okay.
Go.
Yeah, Natalie was on a roll with that one, Josh. Dude, so Josh,
use that.
What do you think, Josh? I mean, do you think this one could be a mover? Like, do you think this one is something people will commit to, or have they moved on from DC, you think? DC?
It's not that people have moved on from DC. Again, it's just one of those things where, the market is bad right now. People are buying for the holidays. This has not been a big seller for me, but literally none of them have been big sellers until they hit waitlist.
Right.
It's just a game that's being played right now. So I think it's a fantastic figure if you like Affleck and you like this version of Batman. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't care for it, but at the same time, I mean, even Infinity sold a Batfleck bust, and it was amazing, and it's sold out. So it's just kind of like there are fans out there. They're out there, and if they want a good figure of him, here he is, dude. Like, this is it. This is a fantastic figure. I think it's going to do just fine. Is it a showstopper? I don't know. It depends what you like. But if this is your Batman, it is. I mean, simple as that. Like, I'm not going to say you're not going to get a better one because this is literally the 2.0. We'll see 3.0 in like 3 to 4 years. So.
And that's so true. If you think about all the other versions of Superman there have been, or all the other versions of the Flash, or even Batman that there have been, people to this day still go nuts for Michael Keaton's Batman, right? Yeah. So I think Ben Affleck Batman has earned his place in the Hall of Bat Fame. And so it doesn't matter if there's going to be a new Batman in the future DCEU. I think he is a staple in the Batman, legacy. And yeah, I think this is great. If I was a Batman fan, I'd buy it for sure. I think this is one of the best Batman figures that has ever been released. This one and the last Michael Keaton version.
And speaking of with the comments, guys, so there's some really good comments out there. So the 3.0 is the InArt, honestly, because InArt's probably going to make this figure because they said they were. So, and that's an interesting point. I saw some comments saying
one?
Yeah, they are. And this is something that people said that essentially the Hot Toys is doing this now to combat InArt and what they're going to release eventually. So I guess that could be. It could be. They could just be trying to get ahead of them and being like, hey, we're going to put this out now to fuck with you guys. So people buy it before yours gets announced and released, and then you're screwed. So, that could happen.
Screwed. Hot Toys will make their sales.
How much do you think it's going to cost in 2028 when it gets released?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be a measly $1,400.
No, not for InArt, but for J&D, yes. But InArt will probably they'll probably make a sculpted version and a rooted, and then a sculpted will be like 350, 400, and then a rooted will be like 500 or something like that.
But here's the
I agree
thing,
with that.
like, how much more are you willing to pay? This is a fantastic looking figure as is. Granted, we don't know what it's gonna look like with InArt, but like, what the hell do you want?
How do you get better than that? Look at this face.
What do you want? Like,
I mean, I guess the rooted hair,
chin to be like real hair for an extra $200.
All right, zoom in on this
point?
face. This is unbelievable. I don't think there's any way you can get closer to Ben Affleck than this face. Now, if you put rooted hair on this, I get long curly hair, you can make it work, but when you have short hair like this, it comes out cheap and fake looking, right? Even the Pattinson it doesn't look great. In my opinion, the rooted doesn't look great. This looks unbelievable. I think short hair, I've been going back and forth with the Harry Potter. I don't know what to do with it because like short hair doesn't look good rooted to me. And I don't know if anyone else in the comments, let me know what you think, but short hair is very difficult to do rooted because not that they can't do it, but it falls differently, right? It's too light. It doesn't sit. It just poofs and it looks like a Barbie. It feels like it has to be sculpted. I don't know how you get better than this. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Josh. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
like, look at Josh's hair right now. How do you make that rooted?
You can root that.
So much to it. That's the thing, though. That's what I was gonna say. Like, a lot of people freaked out about like the artisan sculpts, and I just don't get it. Like, rooted hair is fine, but like, if I can get sculpted hair for like a few $100s cheaper, I mean, we see it in statues all the time.
Right.
Like, why not? Why not? Because you can get other details elsewhere. Granted, again, of course, there are different collectors that want different things. Accuracy is more important. That's fine. But personally, like, I hate futzing with rooted hair. I cannot ever get it to look like the promo.
Yeah. It makes sense with the artisan that could be a reality. And, with some of the InArts, you've had to futz here and there, but nothing crazy. They've done a pretty good job maintaining the integrity of the hair. But with Gandalf, I had to do a little bit for sure, as people remember. Yeah. So, but guys, thanks so much for your thoughts on that one, guys. Let us know in the comments whether you're picking up that Ben Affleck Batman from Hot Toys, whether you'd want to see the other companies like InArt and J&D do that one. And then, we'll go from there. That said, guys, we are going to wrap it there because we are very close to 7 o'clock and we are starting to run out of time. And you know what? It's the Friday before the holidays, before Christmas, all that, whatever you celebrate. It's pretty exciting. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. And we're going to go around to our panel here. But before we do that, make sure to click the like button, subscribe down below, and click the notification bell for updates related to this channel. That's, of course, very important to do. We're at 189 watching right now. So, guys, make sure to click that like button on your way out if you enjoyed the show. Josh, dude. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so happy that you're finally off work, man, because you're always working, saving lives, dude. What's coming up on Comic Concepts, though? Because, I mean, there's some shit that's got to be dropping soon. And I know they can use a code for $10 off. So.
Yes, you do have a code. Unlimited $10 off every order from this channel. We have a big update coming. I've told you, I've dumped a ridiculous amount of money into this special.
It was a lot.
Special requested update for collectors. And we're going to have custom payment plans. Sick. We're cleaning up the site a bit, fixing some of the bugs, making checkout more accurate. But in general, just, updates to the site. Comic Concepts is doing super well. We're looking at different options right now, both on our con schedule next year, because we got invited back to Dragon Con and MomoCon. We're looking at that. We're working directly with Prime One right now, so look forward to a lot better options with that, pricing, etc. And exclusive and special editions, just by the way. We are offering those. God, what else?
Dude, you've gotta find a way to get into MegaCon in Orlando.
Yeah. I'm already in. I don't want to.
He doesn't want to be in now.
I was about to say the drive. I'm not worried about the drive. I'm worried about bringing like 15 statues and like 10 figures.
Look, just leave them at my house.
I will load your house with boxes. I will do it to spite you, and then we'll be empty.
Ty's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Dude?
Yeah.
I'll be like, "It's not me, it's Josh. I'm doing it for him."
Yeah, it's Josh. It was his fault.
Look, I got a whole room right over there. It's empty. We'll just put it all over there.
And then in general, you know, as I've said before, as a hobby, you know, I'm building the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel, which is just for fun. I've already had people message me and ask me why I haven't responded to their emails, but I'm on Twitch, which is shitty. But it is what it is, dude. But yeah, Comic Concepts is doing really well, so I'm really excited. I have you guys to thank for that. So, you know, I'm gonna keep doing whatever I can to make it a good customer experience. Just reach out if you guys ever need anything.
Nice.
I'm still waiting for Comic Concepts to have a cancellation with the C-3PO. I've been trying to order it with him.
Which one?
What do you mean?
The
gold one. The
good one. Which one?
The good one. There's only one.
I've been trying to order that one with Josh too, Nat, and I can't get it either. I'm on the wait list, I think.
I sent him a message like way back in the day. He's like, people cancel. Don't worry about it. And I'm like,
they really do. And the wait list is first come, first serve. So like,
right. And that's like legit what he said.
List.
So I will say that like, there is no favoritism. I was like, hey, buddy. He's like, first come, first serve. If someone cancels, you'll know. Just keep checking.
Everyone is equal, even the shitty people.
I was like, well, gee, thanks. Okay.
Well, shoot, because
I'm sorry.
I have a partnership with Josh, Natalie, and I couldn't even get one. Josh was like, "No, dude, you have to go
he's a partner, and I wouldn't give him one."
Yeah, exactly. So that shows you guys how important.
Shitty, but I genuinely feel you have to draw a line somewhere. Like,
of course,
it's like the deposits. I can't give any special treatment anymore. Can't do any of that because it got out, and then I got in trouble for it, and then people started abusing it. So I just want to treat everyone fairly and equally. And that's why you will all get C-3POs.
Everybody gets one. You get a C-3PO, and you get a C-3PO. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks so much for joining, dude. Appreciate you as always, Josh. Natalie, is there anything you want to plug? The YouTube channel that you're going to be starting? Anything like that?
I do. I would love to plug WillFoxification has told me personally that he is moving to Florida. And he's going to be... Yes.
I'm not, Josh, but I'm not, but I would love that. Natalie, I was looking at houses today in Florida. So fucking expensive, dude. So expensive.
Well, yeah, if you're on the ocean.
I'm gonna live with Natalie. I'm just moving with her for a while.
Come on, I've got an extra cube in one of these.
In one of the cubes. Just shrink me down.
I love InArt so much. Why don't you become one?
Yeah, why don't you become an InArt?
Yeah. No, it's always good to be here. I really enjoy it. I think that we'll be doing something special eventually soon. All right. I don't want to plug anything I can't plug, but
it's okay.
It's always good to be here. So I think we're doing something with the ladies pretty soon here on WillFoxification channel. So if you're anything like me and you like the ladies, come on back. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, it's true. Nat, thanks so much for bringing that up. You know, because I don't know if collectors remember, but we did a female-centric live stream like a couple months back about getting, you know, female collectors' opinions that don't get heard as much. And they talked about you guys talked about different figures and that. We are going to have yourself, Natalie. We'll have Gina back from j&D Collecting. And then, of course, we're going to have Susan Damon, formerly, you know, of Sideshow. So she's going to be here as well. So yeah, so it's going to be pretty fun. She's so cool, man. Everyone knows her. She's just such a nice person. She's just amazing. So I got to give her such a shout out. So she'll be back. So we'll do that live stream, maybe even next week, Natalie. We got to schedule a time, but yeah, we'll figure something out. But
yes, anyway, Shiny. He said, hey, look, you got to get Keco to call me about these lights.
Yeah.
Shiny, thank you. He even said it. He keeps ignoring my calls. I've never called him. I don't have his phone number, but let's pretend that he is ignoring my call. Look at how dull it is back there. Keco, why do you do me like this, man? Look how dark and gloomy it is. Look at Cosmic Concepts back there. Look at WillFoxification. Look, they're just living in the dream with their LED lights. And I'm over here.
You could just ask. You could just ask what we use.
Right.
No.
We use superior shit.
It's Magicase, dude.
Look,
it's Magicase.
I'm a classy bitch, okay?
Apparently not.
Look, I'm building my own thing, okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah. A DIYer.
Yes, didn't you just hear me?
Are we going to mention that Josh is to blame for Ty almost having an attack at dinner?
No,
because
we're not.
Josh is the one that picked me over clam chowder. So
complete allergic reaction.
So Ty has made it very clear. She's like, if you guys bring this shit up one more time, I'm never going to. And I said, I will never do it again. And here you go.
I thought she was gonna die right there. I thought we were gonna have to do chest compressions and be like, oh, look at see me in action.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out the video I posted today about 10 Hot Toys figures that I regret purchasing. That was a fun one to make. So check out that. It's on the channel right now. And of course, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell for updates. And thank you so much, guys. Check out Comic Concepts. Natalie G will have her channel up at some point, I'm hoping. And we'll see how that goes. But guys, thank you so much for watching.
Maybe once Keco helps me in my life.
He will. He will. And guys, enjoy your holiday season. Enjoy your Christmas, whatever you celebrate. Only a couple days away. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you have a long, nice break. Enjoy some family time. And thank you so much.
Bye. See you later. Bye.
Bye. See you later. Bye. 8,000 subscribers. Very exciting. Panty dropper. Bye. Wait, wrong one.